This is another episode of the Hardware Store Challenge Series, where I draw a random weapon from a hat and attempt to build that weapon for under $20 using only parts from a hardware store. This week, I drew the iconic Nunchucks, or more formally known as Nunchaku. But there's one more catch. I only have 1 week to research, design, and fabricate, so let's get started. First things first, what's a nunchuck? To answer that, I dove to the deepest, weirdest part of YouTube I've been to in a long time.
Ooh, helicopter! Ooh.
But it wasn't a complete waste of time. I found out some interesting things. Although there is some shrouded history with the nunchaku, some believe this weapon was initially used as an agricultural tool. It was used by farmers to manually thresh rice. The tongs are used to grasp the rice stalks and then beat it to knock off the rice kernel. But that kind of looks like a two-part staff to me. Maybe they were shortened during times of war to better help conceal them. If you'd like to learn more about the nunchaku, I provided a few links in the description. So basically, I need 2 sticks, a rope or a chain, and some way to connect them. When I was researching the nunchuck, I was surprised to see just how simple these things were to make. So I went to the store and picked up a few things. 1.25 inch oak dowel rod. This is 3 foot long and costs $9.99. 55-pound paracord. This costs $3.99. In addition to the raw materials, we're gonna need some basic hand tools. Tape measure, a knife to cut the paracord, handsaw to cut the dowel to size, a drill with some miscellaneous drill bits. Then we could get started. To get the desired measurement for the length of both shafts, I found the distance of your forearm from elbow to wrist is a good approximation. Mine was about 12 inches. Once we marked out 12 inches on either end of the oak shaft, we can use the handsaw to carefully cut our desired length. Next, I measured in 1 inch and marked 2 holes spaced again at 1 inch. These holes were drilled all the way through with a 1/4 inch drill bit. Then, on the same side we just drilled, we're going to use a 3/8 drill bit to drill a hole approximately 2 inches deep straight down the center of the shaft. Next, we're going to thread the paracord through the holes that were just drilled. Take either shaft and insert the cord through the 3/8 hole. Feed the cord in and use a small drill bit or some kind of pick to help push the cord through the top hole. Then we're going to pull some excess and loop it back through the bottom hole. This time, it goes all the way through the other side. Once through, push it back in the top hole and out the same way we came in. It should look something like this. Now we're going to take the free side of the cord, the side that's not connected to the rest of the roll, and do the same weave pattern, but we have to pull enough excess through to make sure we have some space in between the 2 shafts. To find the approximate length of rope to connect the 2 shafts, I read it should be about the size of your palm. Mine was about 5 inches. Once the size is set, I cut the paracord and used a standard square knot to secure both ends together. The unsightly knot can then be shimmied into either of the 3/8 holes. Don't worry, if that seemed like a college professor on cocaine, there's a video link in the description from where I learned. Looks decent, but given all the tools at my disposal, I feel like I'm doing an injustice. So now that I know I can make one using only parts from a hardware store, under $20, and with minimal tools, let's see what I can do at the makerspace. Okay, so since I made one from wood, I thought it would be cool to use some 60-61 1-inch aluminum round, as well as some of this brass to add a nice contrast to the silver. Now I'm going to be upfront with you guys. You know it wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't mess up somewhere along the line and didn't give you all a big speech about it. So here's what I'm trying to make with this brass. It's meant to be a cap that houses a swivel, so when you're juggling the nunchuck, it turns more easy and makes handling a lot smoother. I'm not sure why this was being difficult for me, because I've made way more complicated parts than this before. So here's my big speech. If you don't feel like listening to it, skip here. I didn't show it on camera, but this was the 3rd time I messed up. This was the 4th time I messed up. I only have 1 more chance to get this right. This is my last piece of bronze, like I said, brass. I just really want to get done with this project, finish it, make it look nice and cool. I got the wood ones done. I wanted to make some out of some plastic so I can flam them around without hurting anything. And then this would be so cool to make it out of this 6061 aluminum and some brass end caps. I don't even know if you can see my face right now because I was recording backwards. But it's so frustrating sometimes when you just want a project to work and it doesn't work. Well, it's more frustrating at the fact that it's not that it's not working, it's that I'm not making it work. Because I gotta come here after work, after I spend all my good energy, and then I get to try to do my own projects with whatever's left over in the gas tank. Sometimes it's really hard to put in some long nights just to make a video for things that just to make a video that only gets like 30 views. The grind is real. But side note, I like doing this. I learn stuff every day. So now I get to clean up all this mess. Tomorrow is another day. I'm not sure if you could really call it a speech, but I think it's important to know you can't always get it on the first try, no matter who you are. So like I said, this was the final piece of brass I had, and instead of driving all the way back to the makerspace after work, I just decided to finish the brass cap at work. Let's do it. I drilled it down to about an inch, marked it at 1.4 inches here so I don't go too deep. Flip it around and do it again. There's a lot of wobbling there. It's not really gonna matter because this isn't super important for it to be concentric. Anyone who's made it this far in the video, I have a few questions for you. Rather than outright asking you for a like or subscription, I'm going to have to ask you, have you gained anything from this video? Have you been entertained? Did you learn something? Would you like to see something like this in the future? If you answered yes to any of those questions, I would encourage you to not only like and subscribe, but leave a comment. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future. I ask this because I feel like I can't just ask you for these things. I have to earn them. So if you feel I've earned a little sugar, then come give daddy some sugar. Oh, would you look at that? The brass caps are done. Let's head back to the makerspace to finish the assembly. To finish the swivels, I thought it would be a good idea to sketch out what I thought might work. I like to try and learn from my mistakes, and what I think happened was a lack of planning. Hopefully this should help. This piece of 3/8 cold rolled is going to be the weird little triangle portion I had sketched out. This in its entirety is basically a swivel. All I have to do is turn down one end to fit my 1/4 inch hole in the brass cap. Then I did something I have never done before. And that's, well, I'm not sure if you could call it blacksmithing, but I heated some metal up and punched it in the face with a hammer. Again, I was entering uncharted territory here, so it might look a little questionable, but I'll take functional questionable over just questionable any day. Next, I took a piece of 3/16 round and tried to form a ring. I should point out that I could have just bought this for 99 cents, but that would be too easy. After I got the basic shape with the roller, I used this pipe and a pair of lineman's pliers to cold form the rest of the way. Once I had the basic shape, I drilled a 3/16 hole through my swivel and looped the ring through. I don't think it's half bad, definitely room for improvement, but it got the job done. Now we just have to connect these to the aluminum. To do that was the simplest part of the project. I drilled and chamfered one side of each shaft so the swivel would have some place to freely move. After trimming the swivel, it fit perfectly, but it was still able to come off, so I had to make some retaining pins. Since part of the swivel is recessed within the aluminum shaft, I couldn't just drill one pin straight through. Rather, I opted to go with 2 pins offset from the center. This gives the swivel complete, unobstructed range of motion. To make the pins, I found some 1/8 inch spring steel that I cut to about 1.5 inches. The pinholes on the brass were actually reamed to ensure a nice tight fit. And if in the future some part of this needs to be repaired, the hard pins can be knocked out and the piece can be disassembled. Once the pins were Once the pins were flush with the brass, I then put the shafts back into the lathe to get that nice machined surface. After that, the final steps were in motion. An hour or so of polishing, first with an abrasive sponge, then to the buffing wheel. And finally, it was time to attach the chain. And what better way to signify the completion of a well-thought project than the joining of two halves. Two halves that were a pain in my booty. It did turn out pretty cool though, if I do say so myself. Anyway, that's it for the narration. Here's some first person.
Alright guys, as you can see it's dark outside. I got here early this morning and I wanted to get these done tonight so I could edit the video for tomorrow. Again, a lot of complications, pulled through, got them done. Yeah, I learned a lot along the way, as always. First time making a pair of nunchucks, don't always do that. So here they are. If you like this build, you might like some other builds in this series. Here's a playlist of other hardware store challenge weapons. Alright guys, thanks for watching. See you next time. Could you imagine pulling up on somebody with one of these things? Like, coming up. Yo bro, give me your money.
You want my money? How about my nunchucks? What's up?